Alright guys, welcome back. So in this video we are going to be figuring out and replacing the context menu on right click exactly where it should appear. So the first thing I need to do is to create an element that will act as a right click menu. And I can do something that looks similar to this. So what I'm going to do is just go ahead and start with the basic HTML first. So right at the top of the body I'm going to create a new element, which is going to be a div with an ID of context. Now in here I'm going to create an unordered list with a class of context menu. And here we're going to start putting in list items with hrefs, which are all going to be blank. So I'm going to copy and paste these a few times, and we're going to create our own context menu. So let's say back, forward, reload, save as, and inspect element. Now, none of these are going to be functioning right now. I just want to show you guys that we can, in fact, do this as far as the UI goes. So I'm going to refresh this, and there's our menu. So what I need to do is now style it. So in this case, I'm going to set the display to inline block for this. We're going to set the position to absolute. It's going to need to be that way. And then we're going to set the background to, oh, I don't know what happened there. It's the background of this. It would help if I spelled it correctly. To white. We're going to put a box shadow of 2 pixels, 2 pixels, 5 pixels, 15, 25. There, that, well, yeah, that looks all right there. And then a transparent black. So I'm going to increase the opacity there. So this is how our context menu looks. So this is under the ID context. So I'm going to jump back in here, go to my style sheet, target context by the ID, which means we use the hash symbol there. Now I'm going to style the list, and all I'm going to do is set the list style to none and the padding to none. So this was the class context menu. List style is none, and the padding also is going to be none, so we set that to 0 pixels. I'm going to save this and refresh and see how it looks now. It's kind of all right. The menu still has a margin, which I need to set to none as well. So margin 0 pixels. Now I'm going to style each of these A elements. So I'm going to set these to block, and the width to 300 pixels. Now 200 pixels. And the padding to 10 pixels. Color is going to be almost black. Text decoration is going to be none. Text shadow is going to be none. I think we put shadows on everything there. And then font weight, do we have 500? 600 will work. So now these are each of the A elements within that list. So I'm going to say context menu A, and then we also need a shadow or a highlight on hover. So context menu A, and we're going to say hover. So every time we hover over the link, it's going to gain a background color of light gray. So I'm going to save this, we're going to refresh, and now this is our context menu. So by default, I'm going to set that to hidden. So display none. Save it and refresh. Now, that's all the HTML and CSS that we need to do. So at this point, we're going to just start with the JavaScript. So what we need to do is we need to first use this mouse down when it's the middle button. So what we're going to do is I'm just going to remove this switch because we're not going to be doing anything in case it's 1 or 3. So I'm just going to put if event.which equals 3, then we're going to make our context menu appear. But in order to do that, we need to get the location of the mouse. So we're talking in this video about another property within the event object, and the properties that we're talking about is mouse X and mouse Y. So I'm just going to console log event.mouseY and event.mouseX. Save this. We're going to refresh, go over to the console, and that was wrong. It's not. What is this? Mouse X? Page. Oh, it's pageY and pageX. Sorry about that. Event pageX. Save this and refresh. And now when we start clicking, we can see, if we go over here and click this, we can see that the Y is the top and bottom, and the X is the left and right. Now we also need to prevent that context menu from showing. So how we do that is we're going to target the entire document because we're going to override this function. We're going to say on context menu, and the callback for this is going to be a function, and we're going to say return false. Close that with a semicolon, save and refresh, and now when I right click we still get the position, but we don't get the context menu. And that's exactly what we want to happen, because now what we can do is use CSS to change the position or change the left and top properties of that context menu. So in here, what we need to do is use the event pageY and event pageX to reposition the main menu and then show it. So how we're going to do that is we target the menu first, and it's with the ID of context, and we're going to say CSS. And then open up brackets. Now this does take one parameter, which is it's an object that we're going to create on the fly. And we're going to say top is going to be equal to event.pageY, and then left is going to be event.pageX. And then we need to show this. Now, this is not well, we'll talk about that in a moment. So let's go ahead and retarget the context here and say fade toggle. Save it, refresh. Now click it, and that didn't fade it in or anything. So let me just fade in, save, refresh. Okay, what's happening there? Okay, it is appearing, but it looks block. No. It's getting a width and height of 0. So let me go ahead and set the width to 100 pixels and the height 100 pixels as well. And there we've got our context menu, but none of these inside show. So hold on one sec. Let's jump up here. It's still getting a left and absolute. It's inline block. Background box shadow. Oh, for some reason I set the display none on that context menu. I meant to set that on context itself. So let me fix that right here. There we go. Save, refresh, and now when we click, we'll see that our menu appears wherever we click. And that's just by determining the Y location and the X location of the mouse, and then we position it. And how CSS will position something when using top and left, the top is basically it targets the top left corner and puts it at that distance away from the top and left of the page. Now you could also determine the width of this and set it right in the middle if you wanted to, but that's not how a right menu or a context menu works at all, so we're not going to be doing that. Now what we're going to do is just we're going to do a basic document on click here to make the menu disappear. So document on click, say function, actually hold on, we should be able to toggle this using the method fade toggle. So if we right click, it will fade toggle it, but it's not working right because it's firing right here. So what we need to do is put this below it and then return false. So copy, return false here and paste that there. I'm going to save it, and now it doesn't. Oh. So now it's doing it as soon as it. So what are we doing? We're right clicking and it's returning false, so it doesn't even toggle it on. So let's fade it in there. Context. I'm going to fade in. And then here, instead of fade toggle, we're going to fade out. Save it, right click, and now we can click anywhere on the page and it toggles that menu out, except when we right click again, it will just re-show it, which is exactly what we want to happen. So that is how to make a custom right click menu. Now what happens is when you left click one of these, it's going to make the menu fade out. But what we could do at that point is determine if it's the left mouse button, and if it's the left mouse button, well, actually we could target the A element that it's clicking itself and return false from that, or we just target the A element on left click and then let it run, and then the menu will disappear as well, which is probably what we'd want to do. So that is our own custom right click menu, guys. That was fun. Let's jump into more jQuery.